Well, it's hard enough in a regular world, but right now, employees are working from home, business partners are working from home. We're sharing information in very different ways from how we used to. It used to be that if you were negotiating a deal, if it were significant enough, you'd meet face to face. You'd know who was in the room because they'd be right in the room with you. But now you may be sharing information in a video conference. Unless you maintain control over the infrastructure, you don't know who's there. You don't know, is someone's spouse in the room and who happens to work for a competitor. You don't know if participants are recording the meeting. And maybe you can tell because they're holding their phone up, but maybe their phone's in their lap. Or there are so many ways that they can be keeping records, which they can then share with others of your supposedly private meeting. So what can you do? Well, you can try to learn the technology of your platform so you can control who the visitors are. It's not going to be 100% effective, but it's going to help. You'll want to keep records of who was in the meeting. You're going to want to warn them at the beginning of the meeting and perhaps periodically throughout that this is confidential information. It's subject to our non-disclosure agreement. If you're engaged in screen sharing, you're going to want to make sure that as the trade secret owner, you share what is shown. You probably want to caution people not to take a photograph of it. So if it turns out that they're bad apples and they take the photographs, they make the recordings, you've put them on notice that they're not supposed to do that. You may want to tweak some of your written contracts to incorporate these measures. And I note that with employees that these days, the explanation of, oh, I emailed this to my personal account because it was a thick document and I couldn't read it online and I had to print it out. That's a very plausible explanation these days, but once things get back to normal, certainly organizations are going to want to check in with their employees and let them know you need to delete all that stuff from your private computers. And there may need to be more training to remind them to do that.